The adventure continues as our party, Nyx the reincarnated rogue, Rinverhi the holy sun worshipper, Bran the monster hunting ranger, and Kenopsia the dreamwalker amnesiac explore the mysterious dreamscape in their Pristine Dreams. It's hot pot madness.
Hot pot madness. Whatever.
I suppose it is fine. Just... should we talk with him about it? Should we try to talk to it?
I don't know. He seems to be a little protective over the cauldron. Not that in the way that I doubt he's not willing to share.
Right.
It's just one of those things where I feel like if we try to, I'm unsure of the best course of action, because I don't want him to feel like we are crowding him and also making him out like he's the problem, because he's not, but I'm also concerned about what this cauldron might be telling him.
As am I, but we'll just see how it goes for now.
Nyx drops her hands, marches over to Bran and says, "What's with your pot?"
Okay, Nyx will take matters into her own hands.
Truthfully, Rinverhi, I think I need to pray.
Let's pray.
Just hold hands.
Hold hands and pray.
I was waiting for Kenopsia and Rinverhi to smack each other on the leg and be like, look, Nyx is doing it, Nyx is doing it. And Nyx to pick Carl up by both handles and just be like, what are you? And just yell at him. So Nyx was a lot more couth. We appreciate it.
Yeah. She's so great. I love Nyx so bad.
But Nyx took the better route of just asking Bran, what's with your pot there?
What do you mean, what's with my pot? It's Carl.
And she looks at Carl and she looks at Bran and she's just like, I mean, you're talking to Carl.
I always talk to Carl. What?
That was he. That was him.
He does quite often. I don't know about always. Oh my god, always.
And so, like, Nyx actually, like, is Bran... Oh no, my battery is about to die. Is Bran... I can change it real quick. Is Bran sitting down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Nyx sits down next to Bran, and I can't hear you guys as I do this. Hold on a second. And she peers into Carl, and she goes, sorry about that. Okay.
Anticipation.
Ooh, that took a minute to turn back on. I apologize. So yeah, she sits down, she peers into Carl, and she's just like, well, what do you guys talk about?
Are you
There's
asking
like a
me?
moment.
Did she hear that?
Oh, yeah.
And Nyx, like, side-eyes the pot, and she's just like, either one of you?
Did she just respond to it?
Yeah, we talk about all sorts of stuff. Mostly about cooking, though. Check out what we're cooking now. And he kind of leans his head down so you could look inside the pot.
Oh,
Can we all hear Carl talking?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, by the light.
Now, granted, every time you've ever seen Bran do this before you arrived in the dreamscape, Carl never actually spoke or moved, but you've been seeing it move and now can audibly hear it talk at this point.
Yeah, so she kind of she nods at the food inside, and she kind of like raises her hand and like takes her index finger and her middle finger and like does this kind of like come here motion.
To Carl?
No, to Rinverhi and Kay. like
Okay.
Come here. Come here.
Rinverhi will look at Nyx and then look to Kenopsia. Like, you ready?
Staring directly at Rinverhi, eyes wide, just like, okay.
We'll go over together.
Yeah, just like that. And Kay's just like, okay. And just, just like, he's taking, like, he thinks he's taking big steps, but he's taking little ones. He's just like, I don't want fucking, I've had a bad dream. I'm stressed. I have a werewolf bite, and I might be concussed. So, this might as well happen.
I'm right with you.
So yeah, Nyx is like, she seems to like. At first, she was a little like rigid, but she's kind of loosened up a little bit, and she directly addresses Carl and is like, "So, where are you from?"
Hell.
Where am I from?
Hey.
I'm from the ancient world.
The ancient world.
Yeah.
Okay. Lot of objects like you in the ancient world.
I mean, I wouldn't say a lot, but there was their fair share at the time, that's for sure.
So sorry to cut in. Carl,
Mm-hmm.
you're from the ancient world. What is that? And what was that like?
Well, this just basically means a super long time ago. When the gods still walked the earth kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. When the old-timey deities used to first be populating this region around, they kind of realized if they talked like directly towards mere mortals, they would like explode and stuff. It was crazy. So they had to at first they tried making things like me that were kind of like conduits for mortals to talk to the gods. And then they realized,
Vessel.
yeah. Then they realized, well, wait, we could just take on like a mortal form for a little bit and go down there and talk to them. And then you guys stopped exploding, so they didn't really need me anymore after that.
Okay. Kenopsia is just like processing. Like the loading symbol over his head as he's just like digesting all of that. It's just like, do you remember who you saw? Do you remember who made you?
Oh, I've seen a lot of folks. I used to be pretty important, I will say. And you see him kind of like being like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
yes, you see, yes. Quite
all
important.
of us. Yeah. All of us tripods were back in the day, because the mortals were...
Tripods? Did you hold on? Tripods?
Mm-hmm. I know, I got a third little foot back here. I kind of don't show it off too much anymore, but I do.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Rava.
Interesting.
What's the word I'm looking for? Shit.
Like revealed that.
Confirmed that. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes. Yeah, because she was kind of able to break his glamour for a little bit, because he's glamored to look like a modern day pot. But when he mentions like his third tripod leg, he kind of turns, and on the back side of him, you can see a very crude kind of third leg, And then it kind of magically goes invisible again.
Interesting.
Yeah. They used to build whole palaces to us and stuff, and they'd have all these oracles and things that would hang around, and they'd put, tea leaves and rose petals in us and be able to speak to the gods and divine people's fortunes. People were all about us. Yeah, us tripods were pretty popular back in the day.
I see.
Yeah.
Hayes looks over at Rinverhi like, are you hearing this shit? Are you hearing this shit? Are you hearing this shit? I think I'm gonna pass
Yeah.
out. All right.
Yeah,
Nyx
Rinverhi
is like, oh, I'm
is
sorry.
just
go ahead,
staring. Oh no, Rinverhi's just like staring, like, wow.
Yeah, Nyx is totally relaxed and is just like, she leans back on her, the palms of her hands, and she's like, how'd you two meet?
Well, long story. I mean, I'm a monster hunter. I usually go town to town seeking bounties for monsters, so could use a self-heating cauldron, like taps Carl.
Did you buy him from some shop?
It was a small alchemy shop in the middle of nowhere.
Interesting.
Wait a minute. Is that what you remember for real? That you just bought
Do
me
you
off the
remember
shelf of some
differently?
random shop?
How do you remember it, Carl?
Wow. I gotta say, I know you guys are unfamiliar with the dreamscape and, holy magic and
Yes.
stuff, but boy, it does a number on your guys' noggins. Now, you had graduated your monster hunting, right? But you were special, man. You were like, hey, you're destined for big things. And the people upstairs knew that. And they said, hey, we got to get this guy a connect. So I was put in your path on purpose, right? I was given to you by your monster hunting order so that you could fulfill your monster hunting duties. Because, look, dude, you got skills. And he kind of gestures over to the lasso. And he's like, but you don't even know what the hell that thing is. So I'm here to fill in the gaps for different types of creatures and things that no one's seen in centuries, if not millennia.
I think at the praise, Bran does very bashful, and his hand goes to where his token of his order would be. What does he find there?
You find the token to your order.
Little silver sword.
And how little is this little silver sword?
I think the blade of it is maybe half a palm length. It's semi-ornamental, but if in the absolute most dire circumstances could be used as a tiny dagger.
Sure. So yeah, kind of letter opener size, or if not a little smaller. Okay, cool. And then where do you normally keep that? Is that a necklace or? Okay.
Little leather cord.
Yeah. So yeah, you kind of grab that for a second and hang on to it to reassure yourself that you're like, damn, my order's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah.
They got me hooked up. And Carl goes on to say, he's like, yeah, so I know most of the time I don't really pipe up about nothing because, what are you guys doing? You're killing normal things. Little boring monsters, skeletons here and there, stuff like that. But this, this is why we were brought together, bud. Don't leave me on the sidelines. I'm not going to do anything, but, I can give you a tip here or there.
And I appreciate everyone. Gives a little pat.
Of course. By the way, I think, and he kind of leans down. He's like, I think food's up.
like gets out like a little like mess kit for like serving everyone.
All right, so you guys have a little bit of a lasso kind of, I think, very thin stew, but it's, a little bit of a lasso soup,
Yeah. Hot pot, yeehaw.
Sippy, 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 sippy. Sippy, 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 sippy.
So
Sippy.
it's definitely very much in the realm of kind of like a seafoody ramen broth with just chunks of meat in it, unless Bran had anything else he wanted to chuck in there.
Did we still have like some of the mushrooms, or were those eaten up?
Yeah, I'm sure you got a little bit left in there that you could probably slice them up super thin and get a little something in there.
Yeah.
And remember,
Right.
Carl does have charges where he can make whole food out of, but in this case, I figure you're probably saving that and just trying to eat this a little bare bones.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got a little mushroom and lasso broth there, everybody.
Nice.
Tasty, delicious.
Yeah, it's pretty
Good.
good. Yeah.
Nyx is on her thirds.
Nice.
Sweet nutrients.
Brad beeps a little at that.
Feels like forever since we've actually had something to eat. I didn't realize how hungry I was.
Right. We haven't exactly had a moment to stop and rest.
No. I can't remember the last time we actually slept either.
I know. I believe when I was knocked unconscious, at least for a little while, it felt like I had finally achieved a deep slumber. And then I woke up back at that tavern.
Well, I'm glad you got a moment. A moment of peace.
Yeah.
Thank you for the stew, Bran. And
Yes.
Of course.
Carl.
Thank
Hey.
you.
It's what I'm here for. But hey, do you want your friend over there to have any? Who's that? And he's kind of
Oh.
gesturing over to Oddity, who's under
Oh
your
no,
cloak.
have we all been like ignoring her?
We
Well, she's
all assumed-
sleeping. Yeah.
No, she's been sleeping. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Kay will like glance over to her because she's still like tucked up with his cloak, and he just,
Oh. Yes, we should
Wait.
save some for Rarity. Hold on. And Kay will kind of like, scoot over to Oddity, and he'll like very gingerly like put a hand on her shoulder and just like shake her, and he's just, Oddity.
Yes, it's time to go.
I'm so sorry to disturb you. Bran has made some stew out of the, I believe it's called the lasso? The monster.
Yes,
hungry?
the lasso. I never in my life thought I would be eating a lasso, but yes, let's try
No.
some.
Yes. Yeah. And Kay will look over to his companions, just, soup's on. Let's get her a bowl.
I
Are
do
we
have a
fixing a bowl for
question.
her?
Sure, go ahead.
Do we get any sort of boon from this food from Carl?
Other than just general nourishment, no.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good question,
but-
though.
is survival.
And we made friends with Carl.
Get yay! But yeah, so you start like pouring out kind of the last of it there in a one of your little survival cups for Oddity, and she's kind of stretched in and like coming over to sit with you guys. And as she does, you guys notice Carl just be like, "Holy shit! You guys found a Vestal?"
Yeah.
This is Carl. by the
Nyx
way.
has like a little tentacle like sticking out of her mouth and she stops and she's just like, excuse, like just like this face.
Pourquoi?
And Arati kind of looks like very concerned, like, what the fuck is this?
This is Carl. He's my cauldron.
And Carl's kind of looking at Bran and at Arati, and he's just like, okay, we're making big moves now. All right. Hello? And he does kind of like a little curtsy.
Oh,
Very polite, Carl.
Arati kind of
good
takes
manners.
the soup and like takes a sip of it while she's kind of watching Carl curiously, and she's like, and do you know of the Vestal then? What, pray tell, are you, my friend? And Carl kind of like shakes off his shyness for a second, and he's like, I am one of the tripods of old, man. A tripod of Delos. And she's kind of like has a look of impressedness too, and Carl kind of puffs up his cauldron a little bit,
Like puffing up is like, it's like how like a bird, like when they're trying to like show off, like, ooh, look at me, I'm so sexy. They're like they get like puff up real big.
Yep.
Like, peacock style, like flatten it.
And he's like, man, yeah, so you guys got a Vestal, and you're actually going to try to relight a hearth, huh?
That is the mission, yes.
That is the plan, at least, before we all succumb to some horrible fate, which I'm hoping to avoid.
Fingers crossed.
Please.
Arati kind of looks at Rinverhi and is just like, this is very good that you have this this tripod from Delos. I am sure your connection to it is quite strong, yes?
To me?
Yes. She says that to Rinverhi.
Oh, no, this is Bran's friend.
And she kind of looks like that's odd. And she's like, looks at Bran. The tripod is your possession?
Yes.
Huh.
Where's that odd?
Delos is the birthplace of Apollo. I just would have thought he was yours.
Talos?
Delos?
Telos.
Delos?
That's where...
Yeah, it's Delos.
Delos, okay.
Yeah.
Delos.
Delos.
This is... Does that sound familiar to you, Carl? That's where you're from?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm the tripod of Delos.
And that's the birthplace of Apollo.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty fancy place, to be honest. And Arati kind of looks back at Kenopsia, and it's just like, well, yes, the connection is ever so strong, is it not? For Asteria was the Isle of Delos.
She was?
Yes. And Carl's like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm not really there anymore, because, she returned back to the cosmos where she belongs.
I see. Oh, okay.
Gay is just like processing, like, my god was an island? Okay.
And my god lived on your god?
My god lived on your god? What?
And my pot's
Yeah,
from
he's
there?
And my pot's from there? Yeah, just like digesting all of that and just, oh, okay.
That's fascinating.
The ancient world had many stories that were told to mere mortals, but I am sure you know how mortals tell stories. They get twisted, they change, details get fudged, but from what I understand...
Over many a generation, yes.
Yes. From what I understand, Delos was the birthplace of Apollo and his twin sister Artemis. After a bizarre ordeal, I would wager that the tripod of Delos could tell this story much better than I. And Carl's just kind of like, oh, you want me to tell it? I can tell it. That's, I mean, I'm not much of a storyteller, but I mean, I literally lived there at the time, so I could tell the story.
We figured you did, Carl. You've said that you were the tripod of Delos, so I figured you would not lie about that. That would be a tall tale.
No, definitely not. You can't lie about where you're from. It's who you are, and you'd be like lying to yourself or something.
Naturally.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. But
Yeah,
no,
it would be. Yeah, it'd be crazy.
I can't imagine not knowing who you are. God, that'd be terrible. It'd probably be like some kind of curse. You'd hate yourself. You'd never.
Carl, would you like to tell us about Delos?
He's just like, yes, that would be awful. And he's just like sitting there, just like staring off into the middle distance, just like, yeah.
Carl's kind of awkwardly
I don't know
like
anything.
running his foot back and forth, like he's like, oh, I digress. Let me get back to what I was talking about. No offense there, okay, sorry, but the Isle of Delos. You see, back in ancient times, when the deities first started taking mortal form, they realized that they kind of fell prey to some of, the mortals' vices, so to say. One particular one that they noticed was that when deities would take male forms, they ended up being pretty frisky, they'd get pretty horny from time to time. Not like you, girl, not like you, but like big time horny, you know what I mean? And he's kind of gesturing towards Nyx because of the horns. And he's like, I'm talking like seriously flirtatious horny. So being the king of the gods and the manliest of men's, Zeus kind of took it upon himself to go into mortal form. And when he did, it was like, whoa, Tomcat, watch out. If you were in mortal Zeus's path, he was probably barking up your tree, you know what I mean? So needless to say, that didn't really go over well with a lot of the other deities. They thought it was a little, you're mixing up with mortals. That's not great. But, gods will be gods. But Zeus decided, hey, let me set my sights on more appropriate kind of relations. So he set his sights on Asteria, who, as a Titan, was another deity like himself. Now, far be it from me to judge, but, Zeus's wife didn't take too kindly to this, but, it was a different time. It was an ancient time. What do you want? So he starts philandering around chasing Asteria. Now, Asteria, of course, knows, hey, this guy is married. That's not cool. I'm going to stay away from this guy. So she thinks, hey, I am going to turn into a quail and just fly away. So she turns into a quail and flies away. And of course, Zeus, not to be deterred, he turns into a hawk and starts chasing after her even harder. At which point, Asteria's like, okay, foolish of me to turn into a creature that he could still mate with. So she says, hey,
just so you know.
Yes.
Kay is scowling so hard. He's like, it's like a shadow is cast over his eyes as Carl's like talking about Zeus, and he's just like, he did what? He did what?
So
I'll fucking kill him.
Brandis is similar. I'll kill him.
Rinverhi is listening with wide eyes.
So the
Go on.
as Asteria was like, well, oh wait, I turned into something else he can mate with. Maybe I'll just turn into something he can't mate with at all. So she turned into an island and became the Isle of Delos. Oop. And then Zeus was like, dang it, and he had to go back to Olympus, but
Gross.
yeah, he was definitely like,
Gods are fascinating.
still, he was a little like, I guess still in the mood. So he went back home and turned his focus to Asteria's sister, who unfortunately was also in immortal form at the time. And got a case of the, hormones herself, and the two of them did actually, mate together, thereby impregnating her with both Apollo and Artemis. Now, of course, like I said, Zeus married at the time, so Hela did not like that at all. Or Hera. Hera did not like that. What's her name? Is it Hera or Hela? It's Hera, right?
It's Hera.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So I make sure I got it right. So she did not like that at all. And she put out a decree. No place in Olympus, all right, on the surface world or in the underworld could give sanctuary to Leto, which is Asteria's sister, and was like, no way, no one take her in. I'm not letting her give birth to these bastard kids. But of course, there was one place that wasn't technically part of the surface world. It wasn't the underworld, and it wasn't Olympus. It was literally another deity. So Asteria said, sister, I know you're a bonehead and you made a bonehead move, but you're in the situation you're in. Come lay here and you can have your children here. And that is where Apollo and Artemis were born, on the Isle of Delos. Of course, having deities born like literally right off the coast of the mortal world, the mortals were like, oh my God, we totally got to get over there. That place is going to have like great crops and the wine will taste better and all the dumb things mortals think. So as they started glomming over there, they needed a way to kind of keep them under control. So of course, they built a temple, they put a tripod there so that I could tell the mortals, no, back up. This place ain't for you. This is holy ground. And like, seriously, it's like literally a deity holy type ground. So bugger off.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was my job for a few hundred years.
Okay. Okay. He's just like staring at the ground, just like, again, processing. He's just like, I need, excuse me. He just turns around and he just fucking just starts just like walking, just like
Don't get too far.
Just walks, just hangs out over, just stands, just like back turned, just like okay. Let's go hang out over here.
Well, that was a fascinating story, Carl.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
had a lot of different career changes in your many years of existing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the way of putting it.
Yeah, there was probably, I think, 600 or 700 years there where I was like a kettle. Yeah.
You were like a bodyguard kettle, a bouncer kettle, telling everybody, hey, don't come onto this island. Also, I can heat up water for you.
Oh, I meant like later. No, when I was on Delos, I was a tripod. Yeah. I was a big, mighty, holy tripod. But, you just meant throughout the ages, I've had a weird career. And, yeah. There was about 600 or 800 years where I was a kettle, just a kettle.
You're
in this
a kettle.
Old lady's house.
I see. So you can change shape then, as Bran asked.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say I change shape, but I do have a bit of a glamour to me. And then you can see he like just changes color completely to being like red. And he's like, looks like he's made of copper and stuff instead. And that he's like decorated in more of like a gothic style than the sort of medieval style that he is now. So it like all of his angles are really sharp and like scary and Tim Burton-y. And he's just like, rah, yeah. I could kind of look like whatever I need to fit in.
That is
Gotcha.
You just become more and more useful.
Well,
Agreed.
yeah, I mean, yeah, designed by the gods to, service their wills. They take care of you,
I'm sure. Well, it is an honor to have you as a travel companion.
Oh, hey, the pleasure's all mine, I get to hang out with you guys. You seem pretty divinely touched on your own right, so to speak. So it's been a while since I've been on some actual serious adventures and doing something worthwhile. So I'm excited. And again, it's goes without saying, I haven't talked to any of the people who made me in thousands of years. And from the sound of it, you guys are going to wake him back up, and I'd honestly love to know what they want me to do. I've just been kind of meandering around for a long time. So it's great to feel like I have a purpose.
I understand waiting and wanting purpose. But one step at a time. Right now, we will light a hearth, and hopefully you will speak to a familiar face.
Yeah, that'll be great. If, you light a hearth and wake up, Hestia with the Vestal, then we'll have a direct line to the deities once again.
And Rinverhi, he nods yeah, yep. he's not saying yeah, but just that look of yeah, I hope this all works out.
Yeah, meanwhile, Kay is over in the corner just just having, he's so overwhelmed. Everything is so big and scary, and he's so tired.
Does
to go back to bed.
Does Rinverhi have any idea of what happened to him earlier when Apollo channeled through him?
That last moment in which you spoke as a deity and kind of shook the building, you don't really have any recollection of. But you do recall that you were in that medical field and dressing people, other soldiers and stuff for a moment. But to you, that was you came to and you were actually healing your friends. So you were oh, that was weird that I spaced out that way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Rinverhi told anyone about that.
That's you.
Yep. Since Rinverhi doesn't remember anything about Apollo speaking through him, he won't say anything about that to Carl. And instead he'll look around and once everybody's had something to eat, he'll look into Carl's into Carl and just see basically we had all the soup, and Rinverhi says, "Oh, let me clean that up for you," and he'll press to digitate Carl so he's clean.
Okay.
Clean Carl.
And he kind of gives you a little ooh, thanks.
Thank you for the meal.
Yeah,
and for all this information.
Yeah, anytime.
You've been a big help.
Of course, I don't know everything about everything, but what I do know is to help Bran there, and he likes hanging around you guys. So if he wants me to help you too, I'm here.
And just know, if the gods don't have a job for you, you always have a place here with me. Just a little pat.
I appreciate that, bud. That's nice. I mean, honestly, your lifespan is like a puppy to me, but whatever.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
Well, I think we should
a little football.
But I'm glad you chose me. And he kind of leans on you for a second.
The moment's over. Pat sleeps. Kidding.
He's that sweet. Well, if we're all rested and fed, how about we see about getting out of this cave?
I would love nothing more.
Agreed.
Fantastic. Nyx, are you ready to go?
Nyx is just on her way.
Nyx is always a step ahead.
Yeah.
All right, Nyx is going. Let's all follow Nyx, everybody.
All right. The adventure continues in the next exciting episode of Pristine Dreams. Thank you for listening. Visit us on our YouTube channel at D20 Dreamland. Leave us a review, share, and subscribe to catch the rest of the adventure. Until next time, sweet dreams.